Hello, this is Mel Thompson, and this is a podcast in a series of podcasts about political risk. Today I'll be discussing Nigeria and environmental cleanup. Now, Nigeria is in the midst of planning a massive cleanup in the Delta, the Niger Delta region. But this is coming much, much too late in many cases for many people because the poor regulations that surrounded petroleum production have really done a lot of damage when it comes to vegetation, water quality, farmland, and fishing communities. So if you're looking into those types of areas as far as a foreign direct investor is concerned or a company, you need to understand that this is coming a day late and a dollar short. So in other words, the environmental impact on agriculture has been devastating to the Niger Delta, and they're just now starting to confront it. How is this a good topic, a solid topic for a political risk discussion? Very simply, I can say this. If you're looking to do a deal in Niger or Nigeria or pretty much anywhere in Africa where the regulations are loose and non-conforming in many ways, more than any other continent, you have to be concerned with a lot of things that are completely unexpected when it comes to environmental regulation. I'm not saying that they're any more, shall we say, loose or they are any more ridiculously unsophisticated than any regulation you'd come across in the United States or Europe or any other place. But what I am saying is that the African continent has many, many countries in it, and we've had many, many problems that seem to be the same problems over and over again. Corruption, environmental non-adherence in many areas, civil war, you name it, the continent has it, has got it, it continues. And this is just a one-off situation that's a perfect example of things you need to plan for, yet still be engaged on the African continent. The Niger Delta is a great place. It's full of opportunity, great people, but they are also the victims of environmental destruction because of poorly regulated petroleum production over a period of decades. The communities in the southern part of Nigeria face environmental challenges including coastal degradation, climate change, the sea is rising, and there's also destruction of mangroves through coastal erosion. You can't simply not understand and ignore these issues and walk in there as a foreign direct investor or a company. You need to understand that these things will impact your investment, which way you should go as far as mitigating your political risk, and also how are you going to deal with the people there? Are you going to be part of the problem, part of the solution, not through your eyes, but through their eyes? Now, back in 2007, a UN environmental people that wanted to do something about this problem issued a report. And the report recommended cleaning up the entire Niger Delta region and its oil polluted areas. This was back in 2007. Now, Shell and other companies said that they were just basically going to withhold money from the Nigerian government if they started to enforce these environmental regulations. This is part of the problem. When companies decide they're not going to play ball and protect their own investment, which is the environment they work in, they create a political risk long term for foreign direct investors and other companies trying to get into the same game. I'm not saying Shell is the only person that is the only group that's responsible for this. I'm just using them as an example. But this is a multi-billion-dollar organization and a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it has caused a lot of problems, particularly for those foreign direct investors who are looking to get into agriculture in the Niger Delta. I would absolutely unequivocally stay away from it at this point because the pollution is so great, the politics are so toxic, the oil is so toxic that you really don't have a good option as far as mitigating this particular political risk. Environmental activists have done the best they can, and they very well may be part of a problem when it comes to civil unrest if you cannot explain to them how you're part of the solution as opposed to the problem. Oil companies basically have not been held accountable there. This is not the United States. This is not other parts of the world where they are held accountable. And this goes back to my initial point. There's a lot more of a nod and a wink on the African continent than you would think. And there's a lot more of it than you would see in Europe or in the United States. Getting things done on the African continent sometimes are done at the expense of the people there, which is absolutely offensive to me. However, you need to still stay engaged, still be an investor, still be a company willing to do business there. But when you start talking about the specific area of the Niger Delta where the oil production is, you really need to be very cognizant of the fact that numerous political risks, including the poisoning of the end product, in some way could result from this pollution. And you don't want to be part of that in any way, shape, or form. It's a very, very bad situation. You can't control other foreign direct investors or other companies. You've got to mitigate your damages for yourself. You can be the conscious of these people by having a conversation with them, but in the end, Shell has shown, and so have other oil companies, that they really don't have the stomach to resolve a problem that they created in the end that is causing a political risk long-term overall, not only for the potential foreign direct investors and companies in the Niger Delta, but also the people who live there. This has been Mel Thompson.